What's up, you guys? It's your boy DJC Gaming here, and today, my friends, we're going to be doing something a little bit different and pretty special. So, I got this idea from another YouTuber called MagnusRobert. I'm going to leave his link in the description. So, he basically did something, he rewrote The Walking Dead, which personally is one of my favorite TV shows, with a random wheel. Now, I liked that idea so much, I've been playing around with it, it's a lot of fun. I thought that we were going to do a legitimate wheel rewrite with pretty much every single character in the show. I have pretty much everybody here of a lot of people. Okay? So we're going to be doing a rewrite. I've got a notebook here for like notes and anything, right? So most of the story is going to pretty much be the same. Um, I might change a couple of things. Some things I'm going to change up at the beginning. First off, if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, I'd recommend go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's phenomenal. So is most of the rest of the Walking Dead universe is on Netflix. I would recommend going and watching that because that's really good. Um, but if you don't care, then I guess you don't have to. But yeah, so I've got a bunch of tabs open here along with my tier list. I've got a notebook. I've got my phone, which has some notes that I've been tampering with. Some changes to just the overall story in general that I'm planning, but season one is going to be very linear, pretty much the exact same except for the deaths. So, first thing that we are changing is T-Dog and Jackie are dating, just to kind of give those characters a little bit extra. Those two are going to be dating. They could die this season. They could make it to season 11. All right, we'll see how this goes. I think I'm gonna have fun with this. This might be a thing where we do like a season per episode, but I like this idea so much I'm probably gonna do like record like the first two, maybe even three seasons, depending on how long this takes me to record. So yeah, and I will be continuing the Hitman series that is on my agenda, but I've just been really busy with school and a bunch of other shit in my personal life. And the level that I'm currently on, which is level 3, sadly is very, very difficult. I'm trying, because I'm not using any like guides or anything to do it. I'm trying to come up with my own run and do it myself. So it's taking me a lot longer to do. I might have to wait until like the summer or something when I'm done with school. But I'm gonna go through these tabs pretty much. So this wheel is going to have all of the main cast on it, the main characters that we're gonna have, most of the big shots, right? The second wheel is going to be more of the side characters. So, for example, we're going to have possibly, oh yeah, these three, Ben, Alan, and Donna, which aren't until season 3, so we'll get to that when we get to that. Nobody's going to be leaving. Morales and his family technically dip. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that because just having more characters is going to be a lot more fun, I feel, and keeping them all here together is going to be a lot more fun. We have a coin flip, which will be used a couple times, quite a few times actually in this. The coin flip is very, very complicated sometimes. I'm gonna use one of the characters, Rick. Let's say Rick's in this dangerous situation. Heads, he makes it out. Tails, he doesn't. Tails will always be more of like the negative option. If it has anything to do with killing, Tails is kills, Heads is survives. This is going to be for more like minor, pretty much just background characters. And then we have our list of deaths. So I'm going to attempt to kind of explain my thoughts as we're doing this. So I'm going to explain kind of the episodes and stuff as we go along. So Rick and Shane are in their cop car. They answer a call about two armed gunmen getting away in a car. They race to it, and basically everything happens the exact same. Rick gets shot. Actually, I just came up with this. Heads, Rick gets shot. Tails, Shane gets shot. Holy crap. Okay, so Shane is now the one that's been shot. So Shane wakes up out of his coma. He meets up with Morgan and Dwayne after Dwayne hits him in the face with a shovel. And he says, "I'm looking for my friend. Have you seen him?" And we get kind of like this much more stressful dynamic because Shane is a lot more distrusting than Rick is, but Shane also is not an idiot. This man obviously is helping him right now. Morgan kind of teaches Shane about the world in general, like what's been going on, what's happening, and he finds out about the walkers and all of this. Shane is able to break into the police station, steal a bunch of guns. He worked there, so he might have had a key. I don't know if Rick was the only one with a key. I'm not sure. But Shane has a key now as well. They get into the gun locker. They take a bunch of the guns, like kind of split it with Morgan and Dwayne because he obviously cares about them. He doesn't want them to die. He gives them the walkie-talkie, and he's the one that tells him, "I will radio every day at dawn." So yeah, so then we kind of get Shane now. We're seeing through the eyes of Shane this new world. So we have another coin flip, right? So Shane goes off, right? Now he's heading towards Atlanta because that's where Morgan told him there was supposed to be a safe place. Now, Morgan and Dwayne go back to the house that they set up in. They're setting up all the stuff. Morgan goes upstairs and tries to kill his zombified wife. This is going to be the first of two coin flips because I'm giving Dwayne two chances to be able to survive here. Does Morgan successfully kill his wife? He does. Okay, so Morgan is successfully able to kill his wife, meaning that Dwayne survives, meaning that we will see both Dwayne and Morgan later. Shane goes to Atlanta. I guess he finds a horse, but he gets to Atlanta and finds out that it is completely overrun by walkers. Okay. Shane makes it to Atlanta. He gets trapped in a tank, but luckily he hears a voice over the radio. "Hey, dumbass. Yeah, you in the tank. Cozy in there?" And that is where episode 1 ends. So, very, very kind of bland. We didn't have any like character deaths or anything, but we did have a couple things happen. We obviously had Shane being the one that was shot, and Dwayne surviving by Morgan being able to kill his wife, meaning that both of them will be showing up later. Now, we're going to go into episode 2. Episode 2 is basically going to be the exact same thing, except replacing Rick with Shane. Now, another thing that I'm going to be changing up from another video that I saw about kind of like rewriting The Walking Dead is not showing anything at the camp, right? So we don't get to see anything at the camp, right? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it does also give that mystery of, is Rick, his best friend, still alive? Basically, now what we get is we get to meet some more of the crew. First, we get to meet Glenn Rhee, the man who is able to save Shane from the tank by being his eyes on the outside, letting him know when to run. He does successfully meeting up with Glenn. Now, Glenn takes him to his little convenience store, department store, storefront thing that we get to meet a couple other characters. We get to meet Morales, Andrea, the couple of T-Dog and Jackie who met in the apocalypse and started getting together. Andrea is very much hot-headed, wants to be like the cool, or like wants to seem more dangerous than she actually is. Morales is kind of just a cool dude. T-Dog is really calm, collected, very much a lot like his girlfriend Jackie. But there is one other person who is currently shooting walkers from the rooftop. Merle Dixon, who is the brother of another member of the group. Now, T-Dog, Merle's not a nice guy at all, right? So they basically get into a kind of a huge like fight, and Merle is trapped. Okay, I'm actually gonna put Morgan in, right? Okay, so yeah, so never seen again, maybe? Question mark. Okay, so they basically They handcuff him onto the roof. Shane is able to knock him down and handcuff him to the roof. Now they have a bunch of walkers trying to get into the department store, so they need to make a plan to get themselves out of there. And this is where the group kind of like uses kind of like their heads, tries to figure some things out. They end up using the guts trick, which is not the first time that we see it, but it also does not happen a lot. Now, Shane and Glenn use the guts trick to make it out into the herd of walkers that are just surrounding the streets of Atlanta. Obviously, we get to see some like just some group dynamics with Merle trying to hit on Andrea, Andrea not caring. We get to see kind of Jackie and T-Dog maybe have some like cute moments. We get to see Morales really mostly trying to figure out how to protect the group and figure out what the heck they're gonna do. As they're walking through, it starts to rain. Surprise, surprise, the smell of the gut starts to wear off and they have to run. They make it to a box truck or whatever, and they're able to rescue the group and bring them back to camp, leaving Merle Dixon behind, still handcuffed to the roof. That's the end of episode 2. These are like very much brief run throughs of what's been going on, but I mean, it doesn't really like matter too much. So, episode 3 opens with our group getting back to the camp. This is the first time that we're seeing the camp, so there's a lot more focus on all of the reunions. Morales with his family, Andrea with her sister, and of course Shane seeing Rick. This moment is going to be crazy. Seeing Rick, he's like, "Oh my God, I thought you were dead," right? And then we find out that Rick got his family out of there. Shane is very happy to see Rick, but there is something building up inside of him, and that is the feelings for Lori, which we kind of see in like a couple of flashbacks, them maybe hinting at them having a past relationship, or never kind of like clarifying if it happened while they were together, Rick and Lori were together, or if it was previous, or what happened. But there is something there between those two, hinting at possible rivalry between him and Rick. Now, this is going to be very interesting for me, especially when trying to figure out the rest of the storylines. Technically, Shane would be our main character at this point. Shane is the head honcho. He is the main character currently at this point. Now, this is also where we get to meet another one of our main characters, and that is Daryl Dixon. Dixon sounds familiar. That is because that is also Merle's last name. This is Merle's brother. He comes back from a hunting trip and finds out that his brother's gone. Shane explains to him how Merle was not a good dude, and Rick also is kind of backing Shane a lot. Basically, swap the roles of Rick and Shane for most of this kind of like interaction, for all of this interaction pretty much. And Rick being the better person, Shane's like, we don't need to go back for him. But Rick is the one that says, we should go back. He may be a dick, but we don't do that. Lori's much more okay. She doesn't want him to go, but she's also like, she understands why, because Rick is still alive. Or Rick never got shot. Rick was never in a coma. She's a lot more okay with and not really annoyed. So we get to see a small group consisting of Rick, T-Dog, Glenn, and Daryl head off back to Atlanta. So while that's going on, our main character still being Shane at this point. So the story really does now kind of break into two main aspects and two main characters, that being Shane and Rick. Back at the camp, so they kind of, this is basically the exact same. Nothing really needs to change there. They basically find out that Merle is not there, and that's technically the end of the episode. But we also get to see a couple other things. We get to see Shane and Lori kind of talk. but we also get to see kind of interactions between the other characters. Dale and Jim, kind of like fixing up the RV, trying to fix up the RV, them kind of saying like, we'll tear apart the box truck when they get back. Amy and Andrea kind of like sharing and spending a lot more time together, or spending a lot of time together, pretty much not being separated from the two of them because of how they were separated and nearly thought each other were, and nearly thought they would never get to see each other again. Morales, we get to see a couple scenes with his family, while Carol, Sophia, well, we get to meet Carol, Sophia, and Ed. Ed basically still kind of like puts his hands on Carol. I guess Shane and Carl can still be down catching frogs and stuff. Because I think Lori would be kind of more fine with it and whatever. So maybe Shane, Shane would, I think, start smacking him. Saying, like, don't ever do that again. If I catch you doing that again, I'll, like, beat the shit out of you again and crap like that. So Ed is still injured, very much injured from everything that's happened. So, this is where we get into our first deaths. So, episode 4 basically goes the exact same way with the Vatos gang, right? This is pretty much they find out he's gone, they go for the bag of guns that Shane had dropped, and they end up, Glenn ends up getting taken by Felipe and brought back to the nursing home. And they are able to capture Miguel, and then eventually everything is able to kind of like de-escalate, and very much they're able to kind of like come up with a plan, and pretty much the exact same, they're let go. Now, this is the fun thing. So, we need to figure out who is going to be taking Ed's death out of our main characters. Now, if it's one of these 4, as you can see, they are currently not available. Right? This is for my episode like kind of like overview, but it's also for the not available category because they're currently not at the camp. So they currently technically cannot die because that is where the dangerous spots take place. Now, the only death that I will allow for one of them to have is Jim's. But for the first 2 in being Ed and Amy's, they will not be counted. That's kind of what I'm going with. So I shuffled it. We will see who gets Ed's death. Andrea. Holy crap. That's wild. Okay. Andrea being our first big death of the show. So that does actually fit. She was introduced in episode 2, dies episode 4, but I mean, we got to see her character, and we got to see how much she cared about her sister. Maybe we have it she died protecting her sister. Maybe one of the randoms gets eaten first, and then she is bit and eaten while trying to protect her sister. That I think we can do. So that is what I'm going to say. Okay. So next one we have is Amy. So who's going to be getting Amy's death? Okay. Well, Amy gets her same death. Evidently, Andrea did not try very hard to save her sister. That is actually wild. Andrea dies trying to protect her sister, but her sister ends up dying anyways, which really does suck. And then after this is when our main group makes it back, or our little side group makes it back to the camp. This is also where Jim's death. Now, they're able to take out all of the walkers. It's very sad and emotional with all of the no-named characters dying, as well as both Andrea and Amy being killed. Dale is very much distraught because he did really care about those girls. So, we have Jim, who was bit during the attack and then is left by a tree. Oh my god. So it's Carl Grimes. So it's Rick's son. They're cleaning out the walkers. They're putting them down and burying their dead. And then Rick like sees blood or something on Carl, and it turns out that he was bit. Now this is very emotional because it is Rick's son, and this kind of does now break Rick down a lot more. But I do think that we still kind of see a little bit of humanity left in him, but he is very much broken at this point. And I do feel like Shane is a lot more like we need to go to the CDC since it is Carl, and he does care a lot about Carl. So they make it to the CDC. Now I need to add Dr. Jenner to the list, shuffle that up a couple of times. Two people, so they make it to the CDC. Dr. Jenner basically tells them everything, tells them that they are infected, that they're all infected, and also tells them that there is no cure to save their boy, and then it is at the CDC that they have to put Carl down. And this is where Rick is broken. It's just completely like crazy. Like Shane blames Rick for Carl's death. So now we need to see which two people stay behind and basically, I guess, kill themselves. Fucking T-Dog does. Okay. Alright, so T-Dog is depressed. If it lands on Jackie, this would be perfect. Oh my god, it's T-Dog and Luis. Okay. So T-Dog and Luis stay behind. Um, well, I have no idea how to make this make sense. So we're just gonna say that they got stuck, they got trapped, and they blew up. And I have no idea. So now Jackie's upset, and now Morales and Miranda are both very upset because they also now just lost their son. And Liza's like, what the heck? Pretty much. Okay. Season 2 opens with the group going back to the nursing home since they are in Atlanta before going to Fort Benning, which was Shane's original plan. All right. So before we do that, we have a cool little thing that I like doing, and that is for these three characters right here, Guillermo, Felipe, and Miguel from the nursing home. So I like flipping a coin, right? Basically, we're going to do, does Guillermo survive? Guillermo does not. We find out Guillermo is dead. Does Felipe survive? No, we find out that Felipe is dead. Does Miguel survive? Yes, Miguel survives and joins the group. Okay, so yeah, so they go back to the nursing home. They find out that it was raided by a group. Later we'll find out the name of that group and who runs it. But we find out that he killed that this group killed everybody but Miguel, and Miguel ends up joining the group. Now we have our first spin that is not a death spin. This is for who gets shot. Oh no, this is pretty much a death spin. Actually, hold on. First, we need to figure out. Yeah, okay, we need to figure out who goes missing. So as they're making their way to Fort Benning, they're stopped by this giant like road crash thing. I don't know what it. Not a roadblock. A highway jam. We'll go with that. Yeah, highway jam. So basically, they're there. They're sitting there, and then a herd of walkers come in, and somebody runs off after getting scared and pretty much goes missing. This is Dale. Okay. So Dale goes missing. So Dale goes missing. If you've seen the show, you know where this leads. If you haven't, Dale will be going into the never seen again category. So Dale goes missing. They go out to look for him, and somebody is shot. Now, this person will not get their name removed because they will 100% survive this. Who is shot and survives? Jim is shot. So Jim gets shot. We don't know, is he going to survive? Now, the person who shoots him is this dude named Otis, right? So, they basically take Otis back or they take Jim back to this farmhouse run by this dude named Herschel, who luckily is a doctor. Well, a vet, or a veterinarian. So they take him back to Herschel, and Herschel's like, he most likely will not survive unless we can get this medical supplies. So Otis goes with because he feels bad. Who is the person that goes with Otis to go get the medical supplies? Rick. Okay. So Rick goes with Otis. Okay, alright, yeah. So Rick goes with Otis, and they are trapped basically at this little in this school. They are trapped. Unfortunately, Otis does die here, but he might not. Heads, Rick does not kill Otis. Tails, Rick does end up killing Otis. Damn. So Rick does kill Otis. So pretty much it's a very boring story. I'm just gonna go through the main points. I'm not gonna go through episode by episode. Probably do that for the rest of it, but there were only 6 episodes in season one, which is also why season 1 and 2 are partnered together. So pretty much they they make it back. Rick tells a lie about how Otis saved him, even though we know as an audience that Rick killed him. Now they're out searching for Dale, right? They're out searching for him. They're trying to find him, but then eventually they find out. Oh, and I guess we should probably add the rest of these characters. Herschel, his daughter not his daughter Maggie, his daughter Beth, Otis's wife Patricia, and Beth's boyfriend Jimmy. They're all out looking for um, Dale, and Glenn gets close with Maggie. Um, Beth is kind of just there, and we get to see uh, Jackie kind of like, I don't know, kind of like deal with the fallout of losing T-Dog. We get to see Morales kind of like snap a little bit with losing his son, and Rick has obviously kind of already snapped. They find out that there are walkers in Herschel's barn. So most of the group is not happy about this, specifically Shane, Rick, and Morales, who kind of, both Shane, Rick, and Morales, technically, they know the dangers of the walkers. They both, all three of them technically, in a sense, have lost a son to the apocalypse. Morales and Rick literally, and Shane losing Carl, who he thought of as kind of a surrogate son or whatever. This is also where we find out Lori's pregnant, but it's not with Shane, it's with Rick, so it's Rick's baby, and it's just kind of a thing of like, it's really just a do they want to keep the baby type of situation. Because they already lost a son, but they end up deciding to keep the baby. But this is where it gets interesting. They break open the barn. I'm going to assume Shane still does. Shane still breaks open the barn because Rick is still trying to, I guess, reason with Herschel a little bit. But they break open the barn. They fight a bunch of walkers, and then the last walker stumbles out, and it is Dale. The group is stunned. The group is heartbroken by this loss. And Rick is the one to put Dale down. because nobody else can do it. Now, it's Herschel's family, wife, and stepson were in the barn, so Herschel still goes drinking, and Beth still technically tries to commit suicide. But I'm just gonna say that she doesn't succeed. You know what? Screw it. Actually, let's put it up to a coin flip. Do I do this? Let's do it. Let's make this interesting. All right. Heads, she uh, stays alive. Tails, she commits suicide. Ah, damn. So Beth survives, um, and will stay around for a little bit, maybe. So, two people go out, or as two people go out looking for Herschel at the bar. We are going to actually spin for that. If it lands on Herschel, it doesn't count because we're going to look for Herschel. So it's Jim. Okay, so we're getting a Jim. Jim and a Dr. Jenner story. All right. So Jim and Dr. Jenner go looking for Herschel. Oh, I didn't get rid of them, did I? Yeah, so Dr. Jenner and Jim go out looking for Herschel, and they end up coming across another group. One of those groups being Dave and Tony, or two members of that group being Dave and Tony. Now, we're going to do a coin flip here, right? Technically, there's three. All right, so there's only a D4. Whatever. It's four. Of course it would be four. We kind of need three. Okay, hold on. Uh, so who's gonna be the one to kill Dave? Oh, whoops. Three. Herschel. So Herschel kills Dave, while who kills Tony? Oh, damn it. Herschel. Okay. So Herschel kills both Dave and Tony. So, all right, great. So Herschel's gone a little bit darker this version. So they they choose to save Randall because I do think that they would choose to save Randall. So they save Randall, they bring him back. Randall's name will be, well, because both Rick and Shane are very like different characters at this point in time. Let's see. Let's leave it up to a coin flip. All right, Randall just is still alive for right now. They choose to spare Randall. I don't know why they would, but they did. So they bring Randall back. They choose to spare him because they feel bad. Um, because probably I don't know, Jim and Dr. Jenner and Herschel probably were like, those guys were shooting at us. He was shooting at us, but he was also scared and was left behind by his group. They don't care about him. They think he's dead, pretty much. So they kind of like rationalize with them being like, all right, we should be safe. So then we get Dale's death. Now Dale's death. All right, fellas, let's see who is gonna get this death. Oh my God. Oh no. All right, Carol. So Carol, I guess, was upset that at that decision. She runs off and she gets taken down by a walker, which makes a lot more sense than Dale getting taken down by one walker. Carol makes a lot more sense. So, and I do think that this could potentially be the beginning of an Ed redemption arc. Because Ed was a prick. He got beaten up. But in this one, I do think, especially after seeing the sisters die, Carl die, and another child die, I think Ed kind of snaps out of his little dick move, and especially after his wife dies, I do think that we see Ed put down Carol and say, "I'm sorry, honey." And I think that that is basically the equivalent of Dale saying, "I'm sorry, brother." So yeah, so we're starting to see like an Ed redemption. I'm hoping that he stays alive and we can actually see this through. But I don't know. Okay, so we've already said that Randall survives. All right, Shane's death. This may make no sense. Oh my god, it's Glenn. Well, that sucks. Okay. Well, okay, so Glenn is dead. Who kills him? We'll do this. We'll do this. So, uh, Patricia. All right, Patricia might be a little bit more scary than you might think. So, Patricia kills Glenn, which I don't know makes Maggie mad. Okay, so then who puts down zombified Glenn? Daryl does. Oh my god. Patricia probably was like, ah, yeah, he was bit or some BS. But yeah, so Patricia kills Glenn. Daryl puts Walker Glenn down, which is absolutely wild. So, okay, so technically, oh, no, 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 no. It's so I guess they technically could still die, but I think we'll keep like these two are basically safe because there are Rick and Carl, right? So they lead the walkers to the barn. They burn the barn down. But we get yes, Jimmy. So who drives the RV up to try and save them? No, Dr. Jenner. So Dr. Jenner takes the RV and drives it up to the barn, saving Daryl and Patricia, but sadly in the process is killed and eaten by a bunch of walkers. All right. Last one, Patricia. Patricia's death. Who is going to be ripped out of Beth's arms? It's Shane. So it's not going to be like that. But Shane is still dying. I do think that I think Shane I think we do it. Shane dies protecting Rick and Lori. And I don't know, maybe he says like protect that kid, like blah blah blah, like survive this world for me, keep that kid alive. Carl would be so proud. Like something like that, or where it kind of like also diffuses and basically kind of like gives Shane a tad bit of redemption. Even though Rick was kind of the dick, really, like from my notes, the only bad thing Shane does is blame Rick for Carl's death, which kind of makes sense, and that was really just in the heat of the moment. So I do think that that is fine. That is really the only bad thing, because Rick is the one that goes with Otis and kills him. So, yeah. Oh, I forgot to write down that Jim gets shot. Yeah, okay. Alright, beautiful. So, by the end of season 2, oh wait, we have one more spin to do, and this one, any of the characters can be in this. This one doesn't really matter too much. Who basically gets separated from the group and we will maybe see again later. It's Jim. Jim. Okay, the same person who got shot. Jim is, weirdly enough, kind of done a lot this season. So Jim gets separated. Will we see him again? I don't know, but that is gonna do it for this first episode. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this because I am having a blast doing this, especially with writing down all these notes, so that I can actually keep track of like the important things. Again, as the series goes on, it's gonna get a lot more messy, so these notes are gonna be a lot more helpful, especially knowing with like what we're doing with specific characters, like Patricia obviously having more of a dark side, Rick being the one to kill Otis, and then obviously Ed kind of getting a tad bit of a redemption arc. All of this kind of stuff, it's going to be really nice to have these notes. I hope you guys did enjoy this because I sure as hell am. This is probably one of my favorite rewrites because I'm doing a lot more kind of like coin flip randomness with it that I haven't done before, and I do think that this is really going to be really, really fun. I've got some cool ideas for season three, for like some spins and stuff that we can do. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy that too long. And again, the Hitman stuff will hopefully be coming back soon. If not, it might be towards the summer because these are a lot more quick to record. Other than the Hitman ones, which take quite a while. Um, let's just recap who currently is still alive. So currently we have Rick and Lori, pregnant Lori, might I add. She is still pregnant. Sophia and Ed. Um, Sophia, I guess, kind of taking. We can just say Sophia kind of takes the role of Carl here, with Ed very much going on that redemption arc. After losing Carol, he kind of like realizes all the mistakes that he's made and is going to try and be a better person. Morales, Miranda, and Liza still kind of like trying to get over the death of their son and brother and kind of stuff like that. We have Daryl, who is kind of just Daryl. He did have to put Glenn down, which I think might take a bit of a toll on him coming into the next season. So, but Jackie's still alive, still kind of like getting over the death of T-Dog, but I do think that she will be a lot more prominent, and I do think that she might be taking Carol's role if she survives, or maybe Miranda will, depending on if her family survives through season three. We'll see what happens. We have Miguel, who is definitely going to be very important coming up in season three, um, because of the plans that I have. We have Herschel, who, whoa, what the heck? Okay, we have Herschel, who very much is going, is a lot more kind of like cold blooded, but at the same time, kind hearted with what he did for Randall. We have Maggie, who did very much like Glenn, very upset. I wonder if it's ever going to come out that Patricia was the one who killed him. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Beth and Jimmy, kind of just there. Both of them are very kind of just plain characters at this point, but maybe they'll get more. We'll see if the wheel has any plans for them. Then we have, of course, have Patricia, who is completely different, is still alive, and killed Glenn. Obviously, there is a much darker side to Patricia that I am excited to explore, hopefully, in the next season. And we, of course, lastly have Randall with the dude with the messed up leg. We'll see if he survives through season three and what happens with him. I'm very excited to continue this. But yeah, so I really do hope that you guys did enjoy this because I'll most likely just pre-record a bunch of the like all of them and just release them. So yeah, so I hope you guys did go on to enjoy this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.